Hey, so today I'm going to give you some fantastic beginner tips on how you can race better in Gran Turismo Sport. So let's just get down to it. Number one is first person view mode. So there's a couple of different view modes that you can have. Number one is generally the one that you would have if you had a VR headset on, and that is the interior version of the view mode, where you're inside of the car. Number two is the first person view, which is when you're basically a camera on the front bumper. That's essentially what it is. Let's not lie to ourselves. And then there's another mode where you're essentially on top of the car, like if you've got a camera or a GoPro on the roof of the car. That one's nice because if you're racing and you've got a lot of turns on a track, or maybe you're just not so sure about what's going on in this track, Nuremberg might be one of those race tracks that you're like, where do I turn? That's going to give you a bigger bird eye view while still giving you the ability to drive your car at a very high level. Now, the last view mode is going to be third person. That's the one like if you've got a helicopter or a drone trailing you. That is another view mode. Some people like to have that mode when they're racing with a controller, and I don't blame them, but I personally like first person view mode so much better. If you have a curved screen and you don't have a VR headset but you've got a curved screen, you might really like that interior view. That is a fantastic option because it's going to make you feel like you're actually driving the car. Now, my second tip that I'm going to give you is look where you're going to go. You really don't want to be on the track racing and looking down, and well, I guess technically looking down, but looking at the bottom of the screen just to see if you're hitting the points perfectly, if you're going in and out of those corners the best way possible, because that's really going to mess up your driving a ton. The reason for that is you want to look where you're going. And why you want to look where you're going is because now you can say, hey, the car is not on track to go where I want to go. Do I need to use my brake? Do I need to get more gas? Or do I just need to feather the throttle and basically not put the brake on, but basically just lifting your foot off the gas for a second? By lifting your foot off the gas, if you have never driven, at least in the snow, what you're going to do is basically, if you're turning around a corner and your car keeps on going straight, you need to lift your foot up off the gas and without putting your foot on the brake. That's a no-no, no matter what car you ever drive. If you're sliding, you do not want to put your foot on the brake. You're just going to keep on sliding in that same direction. What you want to do is lift your foot up off the gas so that your car can now slow down just a bit, so that it's able to now weight transfer and now do the turn that you want to get done. And this works the same when you're going through a quick S-turn, where you might just be going too far and just too far oversteer or whatever, and basically at that point you just have to take your foot off the gas, steer through, and back on the gas, maybe shift down a gear, and you'll be all set. Now, another tip that I'm going to be giving you is drafting. Drafting is extremely important. You've probably already seen me do it a few times on this video. Drafting is going to allow you to be able to get behind a car. There's a whole bunch of different names for it. I call it drafting, and that's just basically getting behind a car, and you're going to be using the wind from the other car is going to be obviously going around. That car is fighting the wind. You're not. So you're actually going to be speeding up, and that's when you're going to be able to pass that car. Basically, it helps your car get faster. That's the most layman's term that I can give you. Another tip I'm going to give you is very important, and this is a great tip no matter if you're a beginner or not. And that tip is don't rush. Yes, this is a race, but do not rush. If you rush, you're going to lose control, which you do see happen. You do see happen in this video very soon if you haven't seen it already. Now, that leads into my next point, but you're going to have to stay tuned for my fifth and final point. It's very extremely important. Now, with this tip, going slow around the corners and do not rush. What I mean by that is you don't want to go too hot into a corner, because this is I'm going to call it a real life sim. Even though there is an arcade feel to it, it's still a very good simulation of what happens in real life. And if you go too hard into a corner, you're not going to be pulling an e-brake. There is an e-brake button on the Logitech G29, which is what you see over there, that thing. What you're going to see is the circle button. You can press that and you can drift around a corner, or at least you're pulling the e-brake with that button. The issue is it's not like these arcade games where you pull the e-brake and you're doing a perfect drift. You're actually going to be losing that rear end. And if you don't know how to really handle a vehicle when that happens, you're going to lose control of the car. So, even if you slam the brakes last second to get around that corner, you're not going to stop in time. When you see the double pylon, that is generally the area where you want to start hitting the brakes. You don't want to start hitting the brakes after that double pylon. You want to do it at or before that double pylon. Halfway through that turn, you're going to see another pylon generally on the inside of that turn. When you see that pylon, that's when you should feel safe on slamming the gas once again. Now, that is, of course, if you're taking the right angles, if you're taking the right route through that corner. If you're a bit wide and you start hitting that gas, once that pylon comes up halfway through that turn, you already know that you're going to be going off the track. So you really need to throttle or feather the throttle to get around that corner if you don't take it right, or else you're going to be off the track. Now, my last tip is never give up. You're going to see exactly why on this race. The reason why you should never give up on a race is because you never know what's going to happen, and you might just come in first or second after you've been smashed up. I know you're going to say, oh, you're just mad because people quit in a live game and blah, blah, blah. Yes, that does make people upset, but I've been in so many situations. I'm not a master Gran Turismo racer, but I know that if I mess up, I still am going to have a chance at the end if I keep on working hard. And whether or not I have a chance at the end, I still learned that track by going the extra 2 or 3 laps, which might only take 2 or 3 minutes. So, why not? Anyways, let's keep on watching this race. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video.